Hey guys, so this is a new intro to an old video that I made in January of 2024. I have also gone through the entire video and added some new insights watching it now with fresh eyes and adding in things that I've learned over the years. So definitely some new stuff in here as well. This is a mind-blowing video, so definitely check it out. I'm making a new intro because I want to make some things clear for people who may be new to the channel, because there are things that are said on here that are going to probably create more questions than answers. So I want to give you a mindset to go into this with. The Lord warns us of things that are going to be coming, things that are going to be happening. And when he gives us a warning, it is used not only for our edification, but for those who may not be saved as a warning to come into the salvation of the Lord and to repent. The Lord gives us grace and time to come out of darkness and into his light. So when these rituals are performed on the earth, it affects the spiritual realm. And then the spiritual realm responds, which affects the physical realm of earth. But these things are not instant. They take time. They happen over time and progressively. The whole time, the Lord is trying to pull people out of darkness. Now, one of the things that I have said for a long time was that Kamala was going to be the president, as she is the whore of Babylon. And she was going to be the president. However, God's people that call themselves Christians, as until the harvest, the wheat and the tares grow up together. So all those Christians, all those who say they are Christians, all those who pretend to be Christians, the wheat and the tares have been mixed together, and they all wanted to have a man rule over them and save them, and not God. So that is exactly what God gave them. Now, I will show you in a minute how the things that I've taught about Kamala, Obama, Joe Biden, Trump, all the presidents, even though God decided to give people who they wanted, Trump, it didn't change anything, and everything that I said was still accurate, and it's all still fits very nicely into Revelation 17. It's amazing to see how the Lord works. So let me walk you through a couple of things, and then we will get into the hammer. So let's start off with Kamala and her being the whore of Babylon. So Revelation 17:3 says, "So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast full of the names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns." So the 7-headed beast, which we will talk about in a second, is carrying the woman into Babylon. Okay, now verses 7 to 11 say, "And the angel said unto me, Wherefore didst thou marvel? I will tell thee the mystery of the woman, and of the beast that carrieth her, which hath the 7 heads and 10 horns. The beast that thou sawest was, and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit, and go into perdition. And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was, and is not, and yet is. And here is the mind that hath wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains, on which the woman sitteth. And there are 7 kings. 5 are fallen, and 1 is, and the other is not yet come. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space. And the beast that was, and is not, even he is the 8th, and is of the 7, and goeth into perdition." Now, I'm going to show you, because I am not afraid to tell you what I have taught, because this is exactly what the Lord gave me to teach, and it's exactly what I taught. And when Kamala didn't become president, I was unsure what had happened, and then the Lord made me aware of what was going on. So I'm going to share that with you so you can have full disclosure, because I don't hide anything on this channel. So I've always taught that the 7 heads were the 7 presidents. All right. Keep in mind it says the 7 heads. The 7 heads are 7 mountains, the 7 hills of Washington, D.C., on which the woman sitteth, and there are 7 kings. Let me move this over. That way we can look at it side by side. Okay? 5 are fallen, and 1 is, and the other is not yet come. So when John the Revelator had this vision, it was during Trump's presidency, before Biden's presidency. So during Trump's first presidency. Now, you're seeing there are 7 kings, 5 are fallen. In other words, they've come and gone. So you have Reagan, Bush Sr., Clinton, Bush Jr., and Obama. It says, and 1 is, which is Trump, and then the other is not yet come, and when he cometh, he must continue a short space. Okay, that's Biden. Now, Kamala was supposed to come in after him, okay, because she's not a king. Understand that. So she doesn't fit in the 7 kings. She's not a man. She's not a king. But she is the whore of Babylon, who came into power riding on the back of the beast. Now, she was going to be president, which would not affect this at all, and would, in fact, confirm it, as she is the whore of Babylon, and rode into Babylon on the back of the 7-headed beast. Okay? Which she did. She rode on the back of the 7-headed beast, the 7 presidents, to sit on the 7 hills, which are the 7 mountains, which are the 7 hills of Washington, D.C. I'm going to show you how nothing changed. Okay? So let's say Kamala had been president. All right? Let's just take this into consideration and say that she did win the presidency. Joe Biden stopped being president before his last term was up, right? He stopped running for president, and Kamala took over. And Joe Biden just kind of vanished into the ether, right? So he didn't fill out his full term, but Kamala took power from Biden, okay? She rode in on the beast and took power from Biden. So if she had become president, Biden would have been the one that continued a short space, and everyone else had fallen. So this scripture would not have changed one bit. And even though Kamala didn't become president, it still hasn't changed one bit. Because even if Biden finished his term and Kamala doesn't come back and be president, if you want to look at it that way, and Biden did his first 4 years, well, Trump came back. And Kamala still rode in on the back of the beast and sat on the 7 mountains, right? And Reagan did 8, Bush did 8, Clinton did 8, Bush Jr. did 8, Obama did 8, Trump had done 4, Biden did 4, and Trump's coming back. And now Biden is once again the one who continues the short space, because now Trump has been president longer than Biden. You see? Now Obama is the 5th head, and he is going to be the 8th head. So no matter how you look at this, the scripture is still the same. Both scenarios fit. However, God elected to bring Trump in to bring all this stuff into fruition. Trump is doing the same things Kamala would have done, except they're being done under Trump, because what's happening is the Christian nationalists are being silenced. 1 Samuel 8, starting at verse 4, says, Then the elders of Israel gathered unto themselves together, and came to Samuel unto Ramah, and said unto him, Behold, thou art old, and thy sons walk not in thy ways. Now make us a king to judge us, like all the nations. But this thing displeased Samuel, when they had said, Give us a king to judge us. And Samuel prayed unto the Lord, and the Lord said unto Samuel, Hearken unto the voice of the people in all that they say unto thee, for they have not rejected thee, but they have rejected me, that I should not reign over them. according to all the works which they have done since the day that I brought them up out of Egypt, even unto this day, wherewith they have forsaken me and served other gods, so do they also unto thee. Now therefore hearken unto their voice, howbeit protest solemnly unto them, and show them the manner of the king that shall reign over them. And Samuel told all the words of the Lord unto the people that asked of him a king. And he said, this will be the manner of the king that shall reign over you. He will take your sons and appoint them for himself, his chariots and his horsemen, and some shall run before his chariots, and he will appoint him captains over thousands and captains over fifties, and will set his ear to the ground to reap his harvest, and to make his instruments of war and instruments of chariots. And he will take your daughters to be confectionaries and cooks and to be bakers. And he will take your fields and your vineyards and your olive yards, even the best of them, and give them to his servants. And he will take the tenth of your seed and of your vineyards and give it to his officers and to his servants. And he will take your manservants and maidservants and your goodliest young men and your asses and put them to his work. He will take the tenth of your sheep, and ye shall be his servants. And ye shall cry out in that day because your king, which ye shall have chosen you, and the Lord will not hear you in that day. Nevertheless, the people refused to obey the voice of Samuel, and they said, nay, but we will have a king over us, that we may also be like all the nations, and that our king may judge us and go out before us and fight our battles. And Samuel heard all the words of the people and rehearsed them in the ears of the Lord. And the Lord said to Samuel, hearken unto their voice, and make them a king. And Samuel said unto the men of Israel, go ye every man unto his city. So you can see, this video came out, and it was a warning, much like many other people were warning of what is to come, because we were seeing what the Lord was showing us. But guess what the nation of America did? They did not hearken unto the Lord's warning. They did not see the signs. They sought for a man to rescue them from the abominations that were being done by Biden and Kamala. They sought a man to come and rescue them. They wanted their human savior. They wanted Trump. They wanted this king over them. So that's exactly what God gave them. And now they're going to regret it. God warned them what was to come, to put their faith in Christ and Christ alone. But they put their faith in a man. They put their faith in Trump. And now they're going to get exactly what they got coming. And it was Kamala who was going to bring it in. But the irony is that God has brought Trump back to rule over, to make these people regret choosing a man over Christ. This is judgment. This is what's happening. So as you can see, nothing has changed. The same result. Scripture still lines up perfectly. It would have lined up perfectly both ways. Kamala was going to rule, but since the Christians didn't want to turn to Jesus for salvation, didn't want to put their faith in Christ, but thought they needed a man to come make America great again and that would save them, well, that's exactly what they got. If you watched my Coming to America video, then you will have seen this scripture and heard me explain it. But just briefly, we are Mystery Babylon. This is a warning for us. That which has been done will be done again. There's nothing new under the sun. So what's happening here is going to happen to us. And this directly talks about us. So, let's read Jeremiah 50, 21 to 26. Go up against the land of Merathaim, even against it, and against the inhabitants of Pekod. Waste and utterly destroy after them, saith the Lord, and do according to all that I have commanded thee. A sound of battle is in the land, and of great destruction. How is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How is Babylon become a desolation among the nations? So remember, we were the world's superpower. We were the hammer of the whole earth. Okay, but now you can see that we are becoming weak, and other countries are becoming stronger, like Russia and China. So, how is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How is Babylon become a desolation among the nations? I have laid a snare for thee, and thou art also taken, O Babylon, and thou wast not aware. Thou art found and also caught, because thou hast striven against the Lord. And the Lord hath opened his armory, and hath brought forth the weapons of his indignation. For this is the work of the Lord God of hosts in the land of the Chaldeans. Come against her from the utmost border. Open her storehouses. Cast her up as heaps, and destroy her utterly. Let nothing be left. So Russia will be coming over through the land bridge up on Alaska and coming down through Canada, coming from our utmost border. They will come in here and leave nothing left. We will go into slavery under Russia and China. If you want more on this, go watch my Coming to America video. I'm sure this part is probably in the first video. There are 4 videos of Coming to America, but I'm pretty sure this section will fall into the first video. Which, if you want to know what's going to happen, then you should watch that video. Now, I'm sure there'll be some people saying, this is God's country. Not anybody who's been watching my channel for a while, but there may be newcomers who don't know or understand. And so I will show you. So for those who think that this is God's country in America, or the nation that shall not be named overseas, which is involved in a war right now, is the people of God, understand this out of the Holy King James Bible. Psalms 96:5 says, For all the gods of the nations are idols. Not some, not a few, not most. For all the gods of the nations are idols. That means the gods of every nation are idols. The God of America, idol. The God of the nation which shall not be named, idol. The God of India, idols. The God of, you name a place, their gods are idols. Okay, God's people, the Father's people, Jesus' people are scattered all across the earth. We don't worship a national God. We worship the God in heaven. So when a nation says, in God we trust, it is not the Father in heaven in which they trust. It is the one-eyed shepherd, the Antichrist, the God of this world, Satan. For all the gods of all the nations are idols. You don't have to agree with me. This is not my opinion. This is scripture. We're going to start off with 23andMe, this DNA testing company, who I have spoken about many times. As we all know, 23 is about spiritual possession. 23 is half of the human chromosomes, so this will stand for half human, half Nephilim spirit. 23andMe. Alright, of course they'll tell you that it stands for the 23 pairs of chromosomes, but of course they're going to tell you what they want you to believe and not the truth. It's up to us to decipher what the truth is. So what I want to show you about this company is pretty crazy what's going on right now, but first I want to cover a little bit of the history here. So I'm just going to use their first names because I can't pronounce some of their last names. Linda, who by the way looks completely possessed. Paul and Anne, founded 23andMe in 2006 to offer genetic testing and interpretation to individuals. Investment documents from 2007 also suggest that 23andMe hoped to develop a database to pursue research efforts. In 2007, Google, which we all know is Lucifer's company. If you've been watching my channel for any amount of time, you have seen the things I have shown you about Google. Their logo for Play Store is the exact same as Lucifer's sigil. Their Chrome logo has 666 in it. I mean, it's completely Lucifer's company. Not to mention, what does Google do? They give you all the knowledge of good and evil, right? You search for something, whether it be good or evil, and Google shows you where to go find it. Okay, that's the forbidden fruit. All right, anyways, they invested $3.9 million in the company. That's 3 nines, 666. Along with Genetech, which is a biotech incorporation from, you guessed it, San Francisco. And New Enterprise Association, which is an American-based capital firm, and more David Dow Ventures. Well, Kiki, I guess is how you would say this, that is the Ann lady. She and the Google co-founder, Sergey Brin, were married at the time. So, Google's wife started this company. So now, the search engine with all the information about all the web pages on all the internet, having all the data and all the knowledge, now is coming after people's DNA. Now, for those of you who don't understand, I will lay it out for you. This is not so you can see where your roots come from. That's not why this company was started, okay? They are looking for specific traits in people's DNA, specific bloodlines, so they can know who they might want to acquire, so to speak, huh? On a side note, and completely unrelated, I found this Safe at Last website that says around 8 million children are reported missing each year worldwide. 8 million. Around how many? Around 2,300 children reported missing daily in the U.S. What a strange number to turn up missing in the U.S. every day. 2,300. In 2020, almost 400,000 youth were abducted in the USA. This is crazy, you guys. So, you see what I'm saying? This is what's going on around the world and in the United States. So, enough about this side note, which had nothing to do with what we were just talking about. Let's get back to 23andMe. In June 2017, 23andMe created a brand marketing advertisement featuring Gru from Despicable Me. Now, this is going to come in a little bit later when we start talking about David Copperfield, all right? Because David Copperfield is going to make the moon disappear in February, which reminded me of Despicable Me, where Gru stole the moon. In September 2017, it was rumored the company was raising another $200 million with a $1.5 billion valuation. As of that time, in 9/2017, the company had raised $230 million since its inception. 23. Now, here's where we're going to get into the meat and potatoes. On July 25th, 2018, 23andMe announced its partnership with GlaxoSmithKline. This is one of the largest pharmaceutical and biotech companies in the world, to allow the pharmaceutical company to use test results from 5 million customers to design new drugs. So they are allowing this company, GlaxoSmithKline, to use test results from 5 million customers to make designer drugs. You know, that means that they are going to design drugs for specific genome types. Okay? They're using these DNA tests to design drugs. So that means they're going to be DNA-based drugs. And this was in July of 2018. In January of 2020, 23andMe announced it would lay off 100 of its employees. So a year before the sickness came, they're designing new drugs that are DNA-based. And then when the sickness was coming on the scene, 100 people got laid off. I wonder if they were a security risk. In July 2020, 23andMe and GlaxoSmithKline announced their partnership's first clinical trial, a joint asset being co-developed by the two companies for cancer treatment. Now, I don't know if you guys remember I Am Legend, but that whole zombie apocalypse started because of a genetically based cancer treatment that went horribly wrong. And zombies are undead. They are half human, half Nephilim. 23 and me. Of course, these are all coincidences. I'm just pointing it out because it's interesting. You know what else is interesting? That December 4th, 2023, at 9:30 p.m., 23andMe was hacked. And 6.9 million users' info, including health data, was exposed. So, this company who collects your DNA got hacked, and 6.9 Apollo Artemis million users' info was breached. Take a look here and notice what the number of their building is. 223. 322. Skull and Bones. Notice their logo is an X. I don't need to read you anything in here. There's really nothing important except a bunch of excuses and them saying, don't worry about it. It's no big deal. Let's see if we can put this stuff together in a way that makes sense. In 2018, before the sickness, this company that's been collecting people's DNA partnered up with one of the largest drug companies on Earth so that they could give them all your test results without your permission to this big company so they could design new drugs that hadn't existed yet. Then comes the sickness, then all these people are laid off. Then they announce that they are starting clinical trials for cancer treatments, okay? I don't know about you guys, but a lot of my mom's friends who drank the juice have come down with cancer in the last couple years. Now all your stuff has been breached. Understand, this is something that has upset me greatly. It doesn't matter if you send your stuff in, okay? Keep in mind, if one of your family members has done this, then your partial DNA is in this database. You don't even have to do it. If one of your brothers does it, or one of your parents, or you know how they were trying to get you to buy this for your parents as a gift so they could know their heritage, and okay? All a psyop. Okay, they want to get your DNA so that they can know who they're looking for. Because as you have seen, they are sharing this information with drug companies to make designer drugs. Don't forget that Apollo brings the sickness and the cure. So before we start getting into the Super Bowl, I want to show you something, okay? Now remember, the Super Bowl starts February 11th, and we will get into that. But guess what starts the day before the Super Bowl? You guessed it. The Year of the Dragon. So 2024 is the year of dragon based on Chinese zodiac. It's the year of the wood dragon starting from February 10th, 2024 and going to January 28th, 2025. Dragon is the fifth V in the 12-year cycle of the Chinese zodiac signs. So this is the year of the wood dragon, as you can see right here. Why does this matter? Well, if you do the numbers for wood, it is 57, 5G. And the dragon is obviously the serpent Satan. This is the year of the serpent and his cage, his electric prison, starting on February 10th, the day before the Super Bowl. So try to remember the things I'm going to be saying to you, because they are going to be popping up in the things I show you as I expose the enemy. Now, if we come down here and see what they try to tell you about this year, the dragon, notice the numbers here are 1, 6, and 7, which is how you would say them, right? In numerical order, 1, 6, and 7 for lucky numbers. But if you look down here, notice they don't say that. They say 1, 7, 6. Why would they do that? Okay, this is a warning for us to take a look at. This is a clue. What is the clue? If we go 176 and we divide that by 2, we get 88. Okay, so 88 and 88 are 176. The portal for the wooden dragon to bring in the 5G electric prison, the Matrix. Alright, so this is pretty crazy. Now, once I start diving into the Super Bowl, it's gonna get real nuts. Now, I suppose I should probably cover this before I get too into this video. And I probably should have covered this a while ago, but I'm covering it now. So it's important to understand that I will be talking about many people as if they are, which is exactly what they are. But there are many antichrists, those who do the will of Satan, but there's only one son of perdition, the actual antichrist who will rule the world, which is Obama. So 1 John 2:18 says, "Little children, it is the last time," okay, which means it's the end times. "As ye have heard, the Antichrist shall come. Even now there are many antichrists, whereby we know that it is the last time." So by seeing all these antichrists, all these puppets of Satan running about the world, the Illuminati, all Hollywood, all the musicians, okay, these are all antichrists because they stand against Christ. Anti means against. So when I am showing you the NFL, David Copperfield, Usher, The Weeknd, they're all antichrists. But there is only one antichrist, son of perdition. This is John 17:12. "While I was with them in the world, I kept them in thy name. Those thou gavest me I have kept, and none of them is lost, but the son of perdition, that the scripture might be fulfilled." So this is Jesus talking to the Father, saying that he has kept all of them in the Lord's name that the Father gave to him, and lost none but the son of perdition. This was Judas. He was the Antichrist. He stood against Christ. He turned Christ in for money, which now that I think about it, so I am adding this section of the video after I've recorded the entire video. I just figured I should throw this in since I do talk about so many antichrists. But now that I am looking at this, later on you will hear me talking about the 30 years in the making that Usher, that David Copperfield, and that is mentioned in an article with the Lions and Eminem. This 30 years keeps coming up. Well, now I'm starting to wonder if indeed that 30 does not represent the silver pieces that Judas received for rebelling against Jesus. So here in Matthew 26:14-16 we see, "Then one of the 12, called Judas Iscariot, went unto the chief priests, and said unto them, What will ye give me, and I will deliver him unto you? And they covenanted with him for 30 pieces of silver. And from that time he sought the opportunity to betray him." So Judas was an antichrist. Judas was actually a son of perdition. Satan entered into Judas, just like he's going to enter into Obama. And he betrayed Jesus for 30 pieces of silver. So later on in the video, when you hear me trying to make a connection with the 30 and showing you what I did find, keep this in mind, that 30 years can represent this 30 pieces of silver, because this 30 pieces of silver bought the betrayal of Jesus and brought forth the son of perdition, which is exactly what is about to happen. So when you do see that part, just remember this: 30 pieces of silver bringing forth the Antichrist, because they say that their plans and this event has been 30 years in the making. So each year would represent a piece of silver. Just another angle to add. This is how the Lord works. Sometimes when I am making an edit or reading something, He will show me something new. So at least this time I was able to put it into the video. Now, Revelation 17, where it talks about the 7 kings, 5 are fallen, 1 is, the other's not yet come, and when he comes he must continue a short space. So this is talking about Obama. And for those of you who don't know, when I am referring to 58, this is where it comes from. Okay, Obama was the 5th head. The 7 kings, 5 are fallen. Okay, one of them is Obama. He is head number 5. Trump is the one that is. Biden is the one who's not yet come. And he's only going to continue a short space because Kamala will come in, the whore of Babylon. So there's other videos where I cover this in depth. I'm just throwing this out here right now because I did not cover it, and some people might be wondering what I'm talking about. So now you will have an understanding, at least going in, that Obama was the 5th head. Just keep that in mind, okay? And the beast that was president and is not president, or was Judas Iscariot and is not, or was Satan and is not, even he is the 8th, and is of the 7 kings, and he goes into perdition. So, this is about Obama, okay? The 5th head becoming the 8th head, who is of the 7, and he goes into perdition. This means that you put your foot into the path of hell, and it cannot be removed. So no matter what, you're going to hell if your foot is on the road to perdition. So this is from the movie I Pet Goat 2. This is Black Mary. This is who the Catholics in their church are worshiping. Okay, this is representative of Lucifer. This is not Jesus' mom, and this is not Jesus. But this represents the false Mary that is worshipped in the Catholic Church and the Christ child being dead. Okay, this is the Antichrist. So here we have Black Mary and her Antichrist child dead, wanting to resurrect him. And as you can see up here, we have her purple dye, which is opened up and giving birth to the sun god, the false Christ, Apollo, Helios, Lucifer, whatever you want to call him. Okay? So this is representative of Satan being bound for 1,000 years. As you can see, the Antichrist child is bound. So now the Antichrist needs to be resurrected. And the Antichrist is going to be resurrected through spiritual wickedness being brought to us by Super Bowl 58. Now, I'm going to show you something. We're going to do a side-by-side. Here we have I, Pet Goat 2, a movie that came out in 2012, depicting what we see here. Now, you can see that her arm holding the royal die looks a lot like this trophy of the NFL with the football on it. You will also notice there is an L, a V, and 3 eyes in the background, indicating that the Antichrist will be rising this year, the year of the wooden dragon, through spells and rituals being done right in our faces. Here is something I put together in Photoshop so that you could see more clearly what I am talking about. You can see that this picture, inside it is hidden 58. Okay? 58 signifies the death and the rebirth of the Antichrist, the beast that was and is not and will be again. So this year's Super Bowl is Super Bowl 58. 58 is the number that marks the return of the Antichrist, the 5th head and the 8th head. I'm not going to go into that here, but if you've been watching my videos for any amount of time and keeping up, then you will understand that 58 means the return of the Antichrist. And this Super Bowl is happening this year on February 11th, which is the first day of the year of the wooden dragon. February is 2 and 11. That's 22. That is the letter V, which is Lucifer's letter. 2024 is the portal. That's 8. So here we have the first day of the year of the wooden dragon is a Lucifer portal to Super Bowl 58, marking the return of the Antichrist. Now, before we dive too far into this, let me just cover what the NFL is, because I am sure that some of you out there do not understand what the NFL is. So NFL is 32, which is 23, as in 23 and me. Spiritual possession, right? I told you, half person, half Nephilim spirit. 23 and me means 23 and Nephilim, okay? You have your Nephil, and then you have you. I am Nephilim. You get it? This is the NFL. This might seem silly to those of you with no eyes to see, but to those of you who can see, well, you're definitely picking up what I'm putting down. Okay? Spiritual possession. That's what this game is all about. And I am going to make a prediction right now on, you can see here at the bottom right hand corner of the screen, it says it's Wednesday, January 24th. I am making a prediction that it will be the Kansas City Chiefs and the Detroit Lions in the Super Bowl. This is October 2025, Jay speaking. Now, I had regretted making this prediction because the Lions did not end up going to the Super Bowl, and I realized I probably shouldn't have made a prediction because that is not what I was shown. I wasn't shown anybody going to the Super Bowl or who was going to win or anything like that. But after rewatching this video, I understand now why I spoke up and did that. And you will see later when I'm talking about how Star Wars goes together with the Super Bowl and how the rebellion was crushed. And you will see later that the Lions are the rebellion and they were crushed. So it kind of makes sense now that I'm looking back on it. I did regret it, but after rewatching this and seeing it in a new light as the Lord speaks to me, I see exactly why this happened, and it makes complete sense now that I look back on it. Now, I also want to say that the NFL also has 32 teams, which I did not put in this video, and I wanted to point that out as well. So not only does NFL equal 32, but they also have 32 teams. October 2025J out. Any other edits, I will say 2025J here and 2025J out, so you will know where I begin and stop. Why am I saying this? Because it's all about spiritual possession. It's all about dark spirits coming to fruition. If we go to the book of Enoch in chapter 6, when the angels fell and came down to earth to take wives unto themselves and give birth to the Nephilim spirits in whom I am talking about, we can see that then swear they all together and bound themselves by mutual imprecations upon it. And they were in all 200 who descended in the days of Jared on the summit of Mount Hermon. And they called it Mount Hermon because they had sworn and bound themselves by mutual imprecations upon it. And these are the names of their leaders. And it says all the leaders, there are 20 of them. And it says these are their chiefs of tens. So here we have the chiefs, okay? The fallen angels, the chiefs of tens. The head fallen angels were referred to as the chiefs. You've also probably seen Taylor Swift and Kelsey all over the news this year, okay? You've seen that people that are going to Taylor's concerts are getting amnesia, okay? They're having spells cast over them. More women are watching NFL now than ever before because of Taylor Swift, all right? Super Bowl 58 is going to be watched by more women than any other Super Bowl ever. Now, that is the spell that's being put on people, which leads me to believe that it is the Chiefs who will be one of the teams. Who is the other one? Well, 1 Peter 5:8 says, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour. So Satan is a roaring lion. So it makes sense to me that on the return of the Antichrist through this demonic event disguised as a Super Bowl, that it will be between the Chiefs and the Lions. The Chiefs are a red team, the right-handed path. The Lions are the blue team, the left-handed path. Red versus blue, right versus left. Both paths lead you to wickedness, right? And they both lead you into the matrix, which is 58. Okay, matrix is 58. Now, if you just do these individual letters, the numbers you get for LVIII is 61, which backwards in the mirror dimension of the shadow world where the enemy lives is 16, which is 88, the portal. So let's keep going. We already talked about the date. We've talked about 58 is the matrix. And here we have the location. Allegiant Stadium, 3333 Al Davis Way, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89118. Okay, so let's take a look at this address. Allegiant is 81, which is 18. That's 666. 33 and 33, that's obviously 66, okay? That's Apollo. Al Davis. Al is 13. Rebellion. Davis is 55, which is the same numerical value as Satan. So you have rebellious Satan Way. And if you put them all together, Al Davis Way, it is 117. 711, 911, Apollo, the Antichrist. Notice it says Las Vegas. I just want to point this out because we're going to take a look at this in a second. But 89118. So we have 8 and 1 is 9, 8 and 1 is 9, plus the 9, that's 999 or 666. 2025 J here. In reference to the zip code, it can also be looked at as 911 in 88. So inside the portal of 88 comes the release of Apollo. 2025J out. Now it says Las Vegas, Nevada, so Sin City. And if we go and look this up on Wikipedia, we see that it says that Allegiant Stadium is a dome multi-purpose stadium located in Paradise, Nevada. So they're saying Sin City is paradise. Okay? Straight up wickedness, you guys. Now, who better to perform for the event that marks the return of the Antichrist, the rising of the beast, than Apple Music presenting Usher? So here we have Apple, which we all know that they are the forbidden fruit. The apple with the bite taken out of it, the knowledge of good and evil, technology, the forbidden fruit, is bringing you Usher to usher in the return of the Antichrist into Super Bowl 58. So let's dive into Allegiant Stadium a little bit. And then we will be diving into Usher and other things, but I want to cover these in some kind of order. So, Allegiant Stadium, as you can see, it is in Paradise, Nevada, also known as Sin City. Its nickname is the Death Star, which we will be getting into. Okay, so it says scheduled to host the Super Bowl 58 in February 2024. The venue is located on about 62 acres. All right, that's 66. Now I want you to notice they say quarter kilometer squared of land for 62 acres. Notice they don't say hectares, but they say 0.25 kilometers squared. And I'm pointing this out because I'm going to show you something later on that they write these things on purpose because they want to use these numbers, okay? So, it says probably about 4 or 5 times in the description of this place that it's located near Interstate 15, which is 555, which is 666. I wouldn't even have noticed if they just said it once, but because they use it again and again and again, they're trying to make a point. Now, at $1.9 billion, it was the second most expensive stadium in the world. Here is your 19, your Metonic cycle. Notice the color scheme of the Death Star. It looks like Darth Vader. Its black and silver color scheme is very reminiscent of Darth Vader. And it's called the Death Star. Notice they have their little sun worship going on right here. 2025 J here. So I broke apart Allegiant and I was looking at it and it says All E Giant Stadium. You know, and how we have email and e this and e that, and that just means on the internet, electronic. And here we have All E Giants. Isn't that interesting? Just wanted to throw it in there because it fits into the scheme of AI taking over. 2025J out. Now, we're going to get into the whole Star Wars aspect of it in a little bit. So Allegiant Stadium is a 10-level dome stadium. 10 levels. That's 5 and 5. 55. That's Satan. Here it is again. See? Facing Interstate 15. They keep bringing Interstate 15 into this. Now, check this out. The north end zone area in front of the retractable windows contains a large 85-foot torch that houses a flame in honor of Al Davis. 85, that's 58. Notice it is a torch that houses a flame. Like the Statue of Liberty, Lucifer's torch, the light bearer. In honor of who? Al Davis. 13 and 55, the rebellious Satan. And in order to honor this rebellious Satan, they have a giant torch, which is 8558, ushering in the Antichrist. You guys, you cannot make this stuff up, okay? Scrolling down, we see that the NFL, the Nephilim capacity is 65. That's 11101. Okay, the doorway to the Antichrist. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then you just need to watch like my last 20 videos, and all these numbers and all this stuff has been explained thoroughly. And it expands to 71,835. So we have the 65,000, the 101, doorway to the Antichrist, expanding to 888. Okay, there's your portal. So it expands to 888. Soccer's is 61,000. That's 16 backwards. That's 88. You can't make this stuff up. There are 2,700 parking spots surrounding the stadium. 72. That's fallen entities over America. That's 66 plus 6 and 6,000 in proximity to it, and more than 35,000 parking spaces located within a mile. So there's another 8. Now, here's what I was trying to tell you above when they said 0.25 kilometers squared, that it says that they were looking at a site with 42 acres, 17 hectares. Okay? See? They put this in here because they want to use this number 17. Notice it doesn't say point something square kilometers like it did above. Here they're using it to say hectares. Okay, these are signs for us to understand, to pay attention and look at these things so that we can see what's happening here. Okay, very, very evil. And if you are not convinced that this stadium is wicked yet, well, just wait. So we're going to scroll down here. Okay, and we're going to read this. It also features a tribute to the victims of the nearby 2017 Las Vegas shooting, including a performance by Judith Hill and the Las Vegas House of Blues Gospel Choir performing Rise Up, and the lighting of 58 beams of light, symbolizing the 58 victims that were killed in the attack. So this sacrifice that was done in Las Vegas is now being memorialized when they're performing Rise Up. and lighting 58 beams of light. Okay, this Super Bowl 58 is marking the rising of the Antichrist. Okay, even Satan and his angels come as angels of light. Here we have Rise Up 58. You can't make this stuff up, you guys. This is so demonic. If you can't see this, then you need to go to the Lord in prayer and ask to be saved and have your eyes opened. Because this is so in our faces, it's not even funny. So on August 27th, here's your portal into demonic entities, 72, that's 66 plus 6. August is 8. Clark County gave a stadium a new address, rechristening it from its old 5617 Dean Martin Drive address to 3333 Al Davis Way. How demonic. So during opening, there was COVID-19 restrictions. The team held its first closed-door practice in the stadium on August 21st, with Mark Davis nicknaming his team's new home the Death Star. So, a new place opened after COVID came, and they nickname it the Death Star. The Super Bowl being played there is 58. The Rise of the Antichrist. They have a tribute of Rise Up lighting the 58 beams of light, signaling the rise of the Antichrist at Super Bowl 58. Now, as you can see, Allegiant Stadium, Las Vegas Raiders, $2 billion Death Star to host first NFL game. You can see it has silver and black color scheme to match the Raiders uniforms. Now, all these things I'm showing you are going to come into play, and I got a little list I'll show you. I just want to point it out first. John Gruden loves calling Raiders Vegas Stadium the Death Star, ignores Star Wars. So he says, I think it's a cool name for our stadium, he told the Las Vegas Review-Journal. I don't give a damn about Star Wars. That's what we're calling our stadium. I don't care what anybody else thinks. So he didn't name it the Death Star because of Star Wars. All right? I'm going to show you some deep spiritual wickedness that's going on here. All right? Now he says, welcome to the Death Star, where our opponents' dreams come to die. Now remember, these people all work for Satan. Okay? And we are his opponents. And this is where our dreams go to die. Okay? This is the beginning of the end, the rise of the Antichrist. The Death Star is going to kill the Republic. So before I get into explaining how the Death Star and Star Wars fits all into this, we're going to cover the numbers. And I just want you to see here these coordinates that I have copied them down exactly as they're seen right here. So I just copy and pasted 360526, 360526, 115, 112, 115, 112. Just wanted to show you that because I had not shown you that when I was doing the original presentation of Allegiant Stadium's Wikipedia page. So, let's cover these numbers because there is a seriously demonic and spiritual message here. Alright, and this is the warning from God. Okay, this is the warning Satan is forced to show people, but only those with eyes to see will be able to see it. Okay, so I've covered the NFL, which is 32-23, right? Half human, half Nephilim, right? The Super Bowl, or the Superb Owl, which is Lilith, the Screech Owl, demonic being 131, or 311, that's 33. 211, 2024, 2 times 11 is 22, that's Lucifer's number, and 8, 2 plus 2 plus 4 8 is the portal. So this date is the portal for Lucifer, aka Apollo, aka Satan. This is a rising of the beast. Okay, remember, we're in the year of the dragon. This is the first day of the year of the wooden dragon, who will be coming through 5G, because wood is 57. I know I'm repeating myself, but I really want you to understand what I'm trying to show you. Now, I'm covering all these numbers again because I'm going to show you how they correlate with Star Wars. LVIII is 61, that's 16, which is 8 and 8. So here is your portal. Now, this is crazy. Here is the coordinates of where the stadium is located. Now, check this out. 36. That's 3 6s. 6, 6, 6. 0526. Okay? 0526. That's 58. As in Super Bowl 58. As in the rise of the Antichrist, the 5th head and the 8th head. 115. 11 times 5 is 55. This is the numerical value for Satan. And 11 times 2. 11 2 is 22. Lucifer. Now look. 211 is the date of the Super Bowl. Okay? 58 is what Super Bowl it is. Super Bowl 58. And then we have Satan. And 666, the number of the beast, which is actually 9, but you calculate it from 666. So, look at what is hidden right here in the coordinates, you guys. You think that this is an accident, or do you think this is spiritual warfare? Spiritual wickedness at high places. Believe me, men cannot do this. This is straight from the pit of hell. Allegiant Stadium. Is what the stadium is actually called, is 81, which is 18, which is 666. So we have here our 666, which is Allegiant Stadium. We have the Antichrist rising on 211 at the Super Bowl 58, where Satan is going to come into power. I hope you can see what I'm trying to show you. Then, of course, we had 3333, which is 66. We have Al Davis Way, which is 117, which is the same as 119 or 911, because September, septa, means 7, not 9. So 9 is 7, 7 is 9, 711, 911. It's in Sin City, Las Vegas, which is 86. That's 888 plus 888. 6 8s. 888 and 888 is 1776. Now, all these numbers are going to make more sense in a minute when I show you how it compares to Star Wars and why this thing is called the Death Star for real. The zip code 89118 is 999. That's 666. Paradise, Nevada. Okay, who plays here? The Raiders. Okay, this was built for the Raiders. And the Raiders is 74, which is 47. Possession. Rebels also play here because they are based in Las Vegas. This is the University of Las Vegas's football team, the Rebels. Okay, that's 61, that's 16, which is 88, same as LVII, 61, 16, 88. Okay, Chiefs and the Lions, which is who I think is going to the Super Bowl, is 119, which is 911. Now, Al Davis, who was owner of the Raiders' spiritual possession, was rebellious Satan, 13 and 55. The rebellious Satan, who owns the possession, brings in his son, Mark Davis, Mark of the Beast. Okay? Al Davis, the rebellious Satan, gave birth to the Mark. through possession with the Raiders. Now, how does this all correlate with Star Wars? So before I continue, I just want to show you something because this is absolutely crazy. And it has to do with things that I've already covered and things that are coming up in a little bit. So this is Stephen King's book, The Stand, which was published in 1978. The plot centers on a deadly pandemic of weaponized influenza and its aftermath, in which the few surviving humans gather into factions that are led by a personification of either good or evil, and seem fated to clash with each other. So it's about a deadly pandemic of weaponized influenza and its aftermath. So it kind of seems like, if they, changed the name of the flu to something else and weaponized the fear to get people to take medicine, it would probably fit this narrative pretty well, right? Because what the medicine does is it's separating good from evil, the wheat from the tares, those who fear the Lord from those who don't. The Stand was reprinted, which is called the Complete and Uncut Edition, where Stephen King restored over 400 pages of text that had been removed, to give it 1,152 pages. That's 1 and 8. That's 666. But here's an interesting note. The original printing in 1978 had 823 pages. That's 8 and 5. 58. Super Bowl 58. At a Department of Defense installation in the Mojave Desert, an extremely deadly, contagious strain of influenza is developed as a bioweapon. Now it attacks the United States, and in this movie, the United States government agents unwittingly release it in the Soviet Union and China. So Russia and China. Isn't that interesting? These are the two countries that will be invading the United States. Now, what I want to show you is the two factions, okay? Nick's group arrives in Nebraska first, and they help Abigail, who is the good prophetess, I guess you would say, to Boulder, Colorado, where they establish the Democratic Boulder Free Zone. So, Boulder Free Zone, just think about that for a second. Jesus is the rock, the cornerstone, the foundation. And this is the Boulder Free Zone, where it's democratic, which means they vote on everything. They don't listen to the Lord. So even the good people, they're not really good at all. Anyways, this is the right-handed path. But what I really want to show you is this. The committee decides to send 3 spies to Las Vegas to gather information. They send them to Las Vegas because this is where the Antichrist is rising to power. Okay, the Antichrist rises out of Las Vegas, which is where Super Bowl 58 is. This isn't even the crux of it. Let me show you this. The Stand. The is 33, and Stand is 58. So here you have a book that was published in 1978 about a pandemic which brings in the rise of the Antichrist, who rises out of Las Vegas, and Stand is 58, which is the Super Bowl I'm talking about right now. The Antichrist is rising out of the Stand, or Super Bowl 58. You guys, this is crazy. Alright, so now I'm going to show you how all this stuff correlates with Star Wars. Alright, this is why they called it the Death Star. This is a clue for God's people to look into this. And I'm going to show you, because this was a clue for me to look into this. Now, I'm going to show you how Star Wars and the Super Bowl are spiritual wickedness, which is telling you what they are going to do. This is pretty unbelievable. So, I know some of you probably are very familiar with Star Wars, and so you'll pick up what I'm laying out pretty easily. Those of you who do not know Star Wars, I will be explaining it, but it might not be as clear to you as it is to someone who has watched the Star Wars franchise. So, Las Vegas is 86. Okay, that's 6 8s. 888 and 888. That's 1776. We know this is the spell. Okay? The Republic, or Republic, is also 86. 888 and 888, 1776. So we see that Las Vegas represents Republic. Now, Republic in Star Wars is the enemy. And for those of you who think the United States is a democracy, let me correct you right now and tell you the United States is a republic. It's the Republic of the United States. The Republic is the enemy of Darth Vader and the Emperor, who are part of the Empire. Okay? The Empire is the evil force that's trying to take over the galaxy and rule with an iron fist, right? The Beast Kingdom. That would be the Empire, ruling with an iron fist. And their enemy is the Republic. Okay? The people who fight for the Republic are the rebels, also known as the Rebellion. Darth Vader is in charge of the Empire, second only to the Emperor. Okay? Darth Vader controls the Death Star, which can wipe out planets and destroy the Republic. So that's basically the gist of the characters taking place here. So now let me show you how they correlate with the Super Bowl. So since Las Vegas is the Republic, this is where the destruction must happen, right? Because Darth Vader and the Empire want to destroy the Republic. And the rebels fight for the Republic. Here you have the rebels, which is also the football team, the college football team from the University of Las Vegas, that play in the stadium where the Super Bowl is being held. So you have the rebels inside the same place where the Super Bowl is being held. This is a portal. Now, the Empire wants to destroy the Republic and the rebels. So it's going to come in. And the address to come into Las Vegas, the Republic, to destroy the rebels is 3333 Al Davis Way, which is 66. So now the Empire has come into the Republic. All right? Now, Darth Vader, which is the Raiders, who this whole stadium was built for, the Death Star, was made for the Raiders. So the Raiders, aka Darth Vader, are going to bring the Death Star. Now, Raiders is 74, which is 47, spiritual possession, but it's also 4 plus 7, which is 11, which I've shown you before, is 101, because zeros can be added or taken away because they have no value. Well, Darth Vader is 101, or 11. So the Raiders are Darth Vader. They just happen to be the same color, black and silver, just like the stadium. Here you have Darth Vader, black and silver, shiny black. Here you have the Las Vegas Raiders, silver and black, just like Darth Vader. Notice the one eye, okay? Here's your Illuminati, or as the Bible calls the false shepherd, the one-eyed shepherd who leads the flock astray. Okay, 21 is 12 backwards, that's 66. Apollo. Look at the similarities between Darth Vader and the Raiders, both representing spiritual possession and the open doorway to be possessed to the false shepherd. John 10:1 talks about entering into the sheepfold some other way, not taking the door. The false shepherd, the one-eyed shepherd, the way to the Antichrist. Now here is the stadium, black and silver, just like Darth Vader, just like the Raiders. This is the Death Star. Of course, this is not what the actual Death Star in the movie looks like, but we will get to that. So Darth Vader, or the Raiders, bring in the Death Star, which is 96, which is Apollo Artemis number. So they're bringing in the rise of the Antichrist through the false doorway into spiritual possession through Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas. So now Vader has brought in the Death Star for the Empire to squash the rebels and destroy the Republic. So the Chiefs and the Lions is 119, which is 911. Rebellion is 92, which is 2 nines, 99. 9 times 11 is 99. So here we have a connection between the Chiefs, Lions, and the Rebellion. Now, this is who I believe is going to play in the Super Bowl. I don't watch football. There's still 4 teams that have to do sets of playoffs to decide who's going to the Super Bowl, so nobody knows yet, but from the spiritual wickedness that I'm seeing, this is who I think is going. So, here we have the rebellion being squashed by the Death Star. So one of these teams is going to lose, right? So they won't be together anymore. That will crush the rebellion. Once the rebellion is crushed and the Death Star has gained victory over the Republic, the Emperor will be brought forth. The Emperor is 80, which is 8. Obama, who is the Antichrist, was President 44, which is 4 and 4 is 8. He's also the 8th head, the 5th and the 8th head. So he was already the 5th head for Super Bowl 58, but now he's just going to be the 8th head. So 8 represents Obama, who will be the emperor and the new leader of the empire after they have destroyed the republic. I hope you can see in spirituality what I have just shown you, because this stuff lines up perfectly with the Super Bowl and all the things that are involved. You guys, this stuff is impossible to happen on accident. This is a warning from God. Make no mistake about it. This is the enemy having to warn us, and I am showing it to you, so receive it. So now let me show you the moon, or the Death Star. Alright, so now we're going to cover the Death Star moon aspect and David Copperfield. So keep in mind when I'm talking about Saturn and this moon that I do not believe this stuff, okay? This is the narrative, fake space, fake planets, you name it, okay? I've explained what these things are in other videos, but for the sake of this video, I'm just going to use their narrative so you can see how this all ties in together. So this is the moon of Saturn called Mimas. M-I-M-A-S. Alright? Mimas just happens to be 55, the same numerical value as Satan. This is what the Death Star was based off of, was this. So the Death Star, in a sense, is Satan. Now, the moon aspect comes into this because moon is 57, 5G. This is the year of the wood dragon, which starts the day before the Super Bowl. And in February of this year, David Copperfield is going to make the moon disappear. David Copperfield plans to make the moon disappear in an epic stunt, 30 years in the making. Now we're going to see this 30 years in the making a few times when I talk about Usher and the Lions. But anyways, let's not get sidetracked. So, David Copperfield. First, let me show you about David Copperfield and his name. And then we will discuss what's happening with the moon. So this is all happening in a leap year, which I haven't really figured out the significance of this, though there is a passage in Daniel where it says this Antichrist will seek to change the times and the laws. I know that a leap year is not a big change, but I just found it coincidental that this was all happening in the year where the times were going to change by a day. This is 2025, Jay, adding this in because I was inspired as watching this to look into a new aspect of the leap year. Now, this was made in 2024, so let's keep that in mind. 30 years, every 4 years is a leap year. So I took 30 years and multiplied it by 4, which equals 120 years. So then I went to look up what was taking place in 1904, or as we know it, 904, because 1,000 years has been added to the timeline. This was 120 years ago, which would be 30 leap years in the making, since this was taking place on a leap year. You get it? So let's take a look at what was going on in 904. First of all, 9 and 4 is 13, which is also 5 plus 8, 58, the year of rebellion. As the start of 904, 13, the Gregorian calendar was 13 days ahead of the Julian calendar. So here you have another 13, which is another 58, which remained in localized use until 923. Remember, 9 and 7 are interchangeable because septa means 7, but is used as 9. Therefore, 923 is also 237. The Cage of the Beast, 58, the Rise of the Antichrist, 13, 58. You get it? Now, what happened that was important in 904? Well, the Summer Olympics came to the United States for the first time at the World Fair. How interesting. So this is when the Olympians, the gods, the fallen angels ritual came to the United States for the first time. And this has been 30 leap years in the making of these Olympians being here, which come every 4 years. So this is Hermes. And Hermes is the divine trickster god. And he is able to move quickly and freely between the world of the mortals and the world of the divine. So he can travel between the physical realm in the spiritual realm. He is also known as the god of merchants, which we see in Revelation 18, that for thy merchants were the great men of the earth, and for by thy sorceries were all nations deceived. So sorceries means pharmakia. In other words, these merchants who pushed their pharmakia deceived the nations through their god Hermes, whose number is the number 4, because every 4 years he comes back to the land of the mortal from the land of the divine at the Olympics. He is a member of the 12 Olympians. He is the messenger god, the messenger RNA, right? So that's 30 leap years of the Olympians working on building an era in which the beast can be released. So this is what's going on here. This is what's been 30 years in the making. So I just wanted to add this in because I thought this was very important and a nice addition to this video. 2025J out. Just maybe a little clue, I don't really have anything else on the leap year. I haven't done a lot of research on leap years, so David is 40. Copperfield is 108. So before I get into the numbers, let me just clarify some meaning just in the name. So God had a king, David, who watched over God's people, the wheat. So Satan's version of David watches over a copper field. Copper is the serpent bloodline, the blue bloods, the reptiles. This field is full of tares. So you have the evil David watching over the tares, just like God's David was watching over the wheat. So there's some meaning just in his name alone. Now if we get into the numbers, we see that David is 40, which is 4, which is the Roman numeral IV, which we all know is a shot. It also is 2 plus 2, which is V. That's Lucifer's number. Copperfield is 108, which is 18, which is 6 plus 6 plus 6. So David Copperfield is an injection of Lucifer's spirit to make you wicked and bring you into the demonic kingdom. Now he's going to make the moon disappear. Moon is 57, 5G. So this will interact with this and bring this into you to make you into this. Sorry I had to do it that way, but sometimes these things need to be done certain ways to avoid certain things. So now let's get into the article. Let's blow this up. David Copperfield is taking his powers of illusion to the stars. Isn't that an interesting term? Power of illusion to the stars. The Bible says that they will have lying signs and wonders. That if it were possible, they would fool even the very elect. Okay? We really got to read between the lines when we're looking at this stuff. In an interview Today, the magician announced the plans for his latest stunt. I'm going to make the moon disappear, he said. It's taken 30 years of work. That's literally 30 years of our lives to develop it. So 30 years in the making, okay? And he says our lives. So this is all leading up to an event. He's talking about an event. Now keep in mind, when he's going to make the moon disappear, it's going to have to come back, okay? This moon, aka Mimos, the Death Star, is going to disappear and then return. This is called a resurrection, a satanic resurrection. He also said that, and there's multiple methods to make it work, and I'm collaborating with Save the Children. Remember what I was showing you about 23andMe and the little side note I added in there? He's collaborating with Save the Children. Okay, this has taken 30 years to develop. Now, let's scroll down a little further. He continued, if one person can make the moon disappear from the sky, imagine how together we can make poverty and hunger and danger disappear for our children on the earth. Now remember the Georgia Guidestones. Okay, these people want to reduce the earth's population to 500 million. Okay, that's it. So if they can finish this plan they've been doing and developing for over 30 years, ushering in the Antichrist, because they've all been lied to and duped by Satan. They think they're going to build some sort of utopia for them and their families, not knowing they're being deceived. What they're really going to do is wipe out a bunch of people. And just imagine, now if we think of that, let's read this again. If one person can make the moon disappear from the sky, imagine how together we can make poverty, hunger, and danger disappear for our children on earth. So if we remove most of the population, just think of how us elites can make our children never have to deal with poverty, hunger, or danger. Okay? This illusion is set to take place in February 2024. That's 2/8/88. Rehearsals are already underway. They're going well, Copperfield said. In fact, I've been testing them the past few months, and people have reported seeing strange things in the sky at night all around the country. Okay, well, what they're seeing in the sky has nothing to do with this guy. It has to do with fallen angels, and fallen entities are trying to come through and make themselves known in this realm. So understand what I'm showing you here. They want to do away with humanity. They want to bring in the Death Star, raise the Antichrist, and make a utopia for them and their children. Let me show you real quick a side example, and then we'll get back to Copperfield. This is CNN. What is a mass extinction? And why do scientists think we're in the middle of one? Okay, this is programming. Programming. Alright? This T-Rex, this is a Nephilim. Understand that Nephilim were not just humans. Okay, they were perverting, the fallen angels were perverting every beast, plant, creature on earth. They were mixing creature with creature. Alright, so understand what's happening here. Now they're talking about a mass extinction, trying to convince you that dinosaurs once roamed the earth millions of years ago. Let's see what they say. They want you to believe that 66 million years ago, 66 million years ago, okay? Apollo number. Notice the W flag. 23. W is 23. Just like NFL. Just like spiritual possession. Okay? Notice the Freemason pillars. Notice the exit sign is very visible. Exit is 58. Super Bowl 58. Ushering in Satan. See how it's on 1105? 11 times 5. 55. None of these things are done on accident, you guys. This was even done on December 23rd. Okay? 23. 23. 55, which is Satan. 58, which is Matrix, into this whole Nephilim system. I hope you can see what I'm trying to show you, because this is what's going on in the spiritual realm. We just have to be able to open our minds and see it in the physical realm. Now, I'm going to show you a clip from Despicable Me. Because when I saw that David Copperfield was going to make the moon disappear, I thought of Despicable Me, which I used to watch with my daughter, and the character Gru, who had his plan to steal the moon and put it back, just like David Copperfield is going to do. And when I went and recorded this clip, I noticed that they also, you will see in the clip, stole the Statue of Liberty, but not the real one. They stole the one from Vegas, giving us a Vegas connection. And Gru, right before he announces, also says the name Dave. So let me show you that clip, and then we'll get right back to this.
What did we do? Well, we stole the Times Square Jumbotron. Yeah, you all like watching football and that, huh? We stole the Statue of Liberty, the small one from Las Vegas, And I won't even mention the Eiffel Tower, also Vegas. I wasn't going to tell you about this yet, but I have been working on something very big. We will have the capability to pull off the true crime of the century. We are going to steal. Wait! I haven't told you what it is yet. Hey, Dave, we are going to steal the moon! And once the moon is mine, the world will give me whatever I want to get it back. And I will be the greatest villain of all time!
And remember that this ties into how this video started with 23andMe. Okay, David Copperfield is going to make the moon disappear. Just like I showed you that Gru stole the moon, made the moon disappear, and put it back. That's exactly what David Copperfield is going to do. And in 23andMe, as I showed you at the beginning, in June of 2017, they created a brand marketing ad featuring Gru from Despicable Me. 23 is also NFL, spiritual possession, stealing the moon, which is what David Copperfield is doing, stealing the moon, which the moon is the Death Star, which is the stadium. All these things tie in together, you guys. This is going to be a horrific year, a year full of spiritual wickedness, and we really need to prepare ourselves. So there's definitely something wicked going on here, you guys. All right? And he's saying it's taken 30 years to prepare, but he's not taking a break from doing his work at the MGM. It says, in leading up to his moon vanishing moment, Copperfield will apparently not be taking a break from his usual nightly gig at the MGM Grand. MGM, that's 33. Grand is 44. So Freemasonic and 44 is Obama. Put them together and you have 77. Which is 7/11, aka 9/11, Revelation 9/11, Apollo coming out of the pit. Also, that fateful day in New York. So this stuff is crazy, and it just keeps getting crazier. Now we're going to dive a little bit into the halftime show, and I'm going to show you what's up with Usher. So just like David Copperfield's plan to make the moon disappear stunt was 30 years in the making, so is Usher 30 years in the making. Apple Music Super Bowl 58 halftime show. I'm not sure what this 30 years in the making is, but the only thing I was able to come up with was if you take 30 years and multiply 30 by 365 and then add in the 7 leap years that have taken place in the 30 years, you get 10,957. So 1 and 9 is the metonic cycle. 19, the spell work, okay, which we've talked about many times. If you want to know more about that, just Google metonic cycle, and you will see that the cycle of the moon repeats itself every 19 years. It is the Ouroboros metonic cycle. This is how they do spell work. And then 57, this is the year of the wood dragon. 57, 5G, okay? So here we have a metonic cycle into 5G. That's all I can come up with for the 30 years. I don't know if it has any other significance, but to me, this seems pretty significant. So now let's cover this. I'm not going to play it because I'm afraid that I will get hammered, but I will click through bits and pieces of it to show you things that I have seen. Now, there are 17 choir members. I guess first I should tell you that Usher has a numerical value of 71, which is the same numerical value as Apollo. 71 backwards is 17. There are 17 choir members. On their, whatever this thing that hangs down here is, there is a lyre, the stringed instrument, which Apollo invented. Okay, the lyre was Apollo's instrument. So here you have 17 choir members in Catholic garb, okay, wearing uniforms that contain the lyre, giving you the music of Apollo in this Usher 1-minute clip. Now you will see people throwing up peace signs, and they're shouting, "Peace up, peace up." So all these people are saying, "Peace up, peace up." 7 heads of the beast, right? They're all saying, "Peace up." And then when it gets back to the church, keep in mind, this is a V. This is not a peace sign. This is a sign for Lucifer. Okay, this is a V. This represents the V in Lucifer's sigil. I know I've talked about it a few times, so let me just show you. Here you have Lucifer's sigil, okay? And at the very bottom, there is a letter V. It is separate but part of the sigil. It is the letter V. This is also the Play Store logo, you will notice, which is why I called Google Googlecifer, because it is Lucifer's platform. So, V represents Lucifer. So they're all flashing signs of Lucifer, okay? Because this is all about ushering in the Antichrist, which is why Usher is ushering in the Antichrist, which has been 30 years in the making, as you've seen through David, ushering in the disappearance and resurrection of the moon. Now, when it gets back to the choir, they turn the V upside down into an A and say, A-Town. So together this represents Lucifer coming up and Apollo entering into the Antichrist. A-Town, Apollo is going to be taking over the world. I will leave all these links in the description so you can watch this stuff for yourself.
Take that and rewind it.
So take that and rewind it back. There's your Ouroboros. So here's a little girl with an owl on her shirt. Now notice here that it says, "Why the goat?" But when it shows these girls double dutching, their names appear in this place, which I find very interesting. And here is another scene with the girl with the owl shirt. I guess she's jamming out with her sister. Notice the color scheme. Red and blue. Red and blue. Okay? Chiefs, Lions, Democrats, Republicans. Red pill, blue pill. Left-handed path, right-handed path. All leading to the same place. Now, in this scene, he swings his necklace around over to here and catches it and makes the Illuminati hand signal. One performance, 30 years in the making. Okay? He has not been preparing for this performance for 30 years. This is about the rising of the Antichrist. Okay? This is going to be where this ritual and the spell work takes place. Understand what's happening here, because it is highly, highly demonic. Now, let's find out what we can see about Usher getting to this point. I'm next going to show you a video clip of Usher taking part in his humiliation ritual so that he can perform this ritual at this Super Bowl. Here is Usher wearing a dress for his humiliation ritual in an outfit by Louis Vuitton. LV is 55. And remember, 55 is Satan.
Good evening, Usher. How you doing tonight? All right, how are you? I'm doing fine. You've been better now. You're here. All right, give me a look over here, Usher. Give me that great smile over here. Give me that Super Bowl. Give me that Super Bowl smile, Usher. Give me that Super Bowl smile. You got more money on that necklace than I got in my house right here. Let me see, Usher. Give me a look.
Now, we were also told a couple years ago when The Weeknd did the halftime show at the Super Bowl, we were given clues through the performance and the little intro video trailer like this one about what was going to be happening. So let's check that out, and then we're going to dive a little deeper into Usher. Alright, so here is The Weeknd's halftime show. Notice the full moon. Okay, David Copperfield's going to make the moon disappear. This is all pointing towards 2024, okay? Just keep that in mind. That's what this whole video is about, is this year. Here he is driving out, and look where he is. In Vegas. Okay, this is Vegas symbolism. They're showing you that all this is coming to Vegas in 2024. Here is some more Vegas symbolism with an angel, right? A falling angel over the city. And in this scene, there are 70 angels around and one Antichrist coming through this door of light. Okay, this is all the performance The Weeknd did, symbolizing that in 2024, in the Vegas Super Bowl, they're going to be bringing forth the Antichrist through the door of light. Okay, these 70 angels signify the 70 that came back to Jesus. This is what this is signifying. This is the Antichrist version of what Jesus did and what is in our scriptures. Okay, it's called the return of the 70. Well, this is the demonic version. Okay, that's Luke 10:17. You see what the enemy does? 117. 7:11. You see how everything is flipped. Satan takes the scriptures and perverts it. So, let's check out The Weeknd's little trailer. Okay, notice this is Super Bowl 55, which the Weeknd is performing, the LV being a spiritual arrow pointing forward to the Usher humiliation ritual taking place in his Louis Vuitton gear. 55 is Satan. Notice it's called the last meal. This is mockery of the Last Supper. Okay, this is Satan and his last meal before the Super Bowl 55. Now, footballs are falling from the sky, and I will tell you the significance of that in a second. Remember, in Scripture, when Jesus came across the man who was possessed with many devils, and they said, I am legion, for I am many. And Jesus cast them out into 2,000 pigs, and they ran into the sea and died. Footballs are pig skins. So what you're watching here is all those spirits who were cast out into the pigs are coming back onto the earth through Satan. This is what these footballs represent. The 2,000 unclean that were cast into the pigs are now returning to the earth. So that is the symbolism taking place here. Okay? Now, this is where Usher did his humiliation ritual, and I showed you that it was all pointing towards Vegas, which I have shown you how wicked and evil this Super Bowl is, the place it's happening, things I couldn't make up if you gave me 1,000 years and a team of writers. Let's check out Usher's album, because his album is being released on the same day as the Super Bowl event, the first day of the year of the Wood Dragon. Usher's album is called Coming Home. Remember, Usher is 71. So is Apollo. So this could just as easily say Apollo's album, Coming Home. Revelation 9:11, coming out of the pit. Coming Home is the upcoming 9th studio album, 9, number of the beast, by American singer Usher. It is set to be released on February 9th, 2 days before his upcoming Super Bowl 58 halftime performance. This will be Usher's first solo album in nearly 8 years, since Hard to Love in 2016, 88, and his first studio album in 6 years, since A in 2018, 6 plus 6 plus 6, marking his longest gap between 2 albums, and it will also be his first independent album. Now let's scroll down here, because they changed the release date from the 9th to the 11th. The musician announced the accompanying album to be released the same day, February 11th. The release date was later changed to February 9th. Alright, so I had that backwards. It was supposed to be released on the 11th and was changed to the 9th. Why do you think they did that? Well, I can show you right here. Revelation 9:11. Okay, that's what that whole event was in New York, was to open the pit and release Apollo. So what you're seeing here is high-level spiritual wickedness, okay? This is wizardry and witches and warlocks doing dark spell work, okay, that I can show to you, but I do not understand how it works, nor do I want to. But I do know enough to see the signs of it that manifest in our reality as a warning to us, and I can show those to you. But as to how it works, I'm uninterested. I do not care. I'm only interested in seeing the warning and giving the warning. Now, the single Good Good was released August 4th, 2023. August 4th is Obama's birthday. Good is 41. 4 plus 1 is 5. So here we have 5, 5. Satan. Good, good. Single from Coming Home. So 55. Satan is coming home through Obama. I hope you guys see what I'm showing you because this is crazy stuff. Here's his album. Look at how rushed it is. These songs don't even have titles. Okay? Just good, good. Risk it all. Okay? Which is exactly what they're doing. And Standing Next to You. Okay? That's a message in itself. Satan risking it all so he can stand next to you. Okay? The whole album is 1 hour, 7 minutes, and 0 seconds. That's 17, which is 71, which is Usher, which is Apollo. This is demonic spell work, you guys. I hope you can see what I'm trying to show you, because this is crazy. Notice the first untitled track is 3:11:33. And the track Good Good is 4 minutes, 7 seconds, 47. Possession. You cannot make this stuff up, you guys. You just can't. Now, before we get off of Usher, just want to point out one more thing. So this is all Metatron's cube. Okay, this is Usher's neck. You can see here if we zoom in that this is the tattoo Usher has on his neck. Okay, and the back of his head, of course. Now, this is all symbolism that comes forth from Metatron's cube. Okay, what the New Agers call sacred geometry. What you will see here is Lucifer's sigil, which is the same as the Google Play Store. In this album cover for Coming Home, you can see that he has a peach in his hand. Peach is 33. And as you can see, he has a cross on his back. So the symbolism here is he is a Freemason who is ushering in Lucifer, who is his god, and he is turning his back on Jesus. Very, very deep stuff. So I don't have a lot on this section, but I just wanted to throw it in there because 30 years was mentioned again. And it's in an article that has to do with Eminem. Now, Eminem is not mentioned in the 30 years, but the article is mentioned in both Eminem and the 30 years. So I just wanted to point this out to you real quick. Now, Eminem is saying to Stafford, I was there for you when you won. I rapped for you. Okay? Now, Eminem is 33. As I've shown before in other videos, if you turn an M to the right, it makes a 3. So M is 33. Okay? That's why Eminem is important. So here we have Freemasons speaking to Matthew Stafford, and it says the Detroit Lions meet the LA Rams in a wild card game. The Lions finally have Super Bowl aspirations, but of course their first home playoff game in 30 years will be against their former quarterback Matthew Stafford of the LA Rams. So here you have a mention of the Lions, the Super Bowl, in 30 years in an article with Eminem, which is 33. So I figured that I should put this in there because it does go along with the 30 years narrative, okay? All these media sources and people are talking about this 30 years, which I showed you is 19 and 57, the Metonic cycle and 5G. This is where the spiritual possession is coming in, and people are going to be put into the matrix at Super Bowl 58. Okay, 58 is Matrix. Make no mistake, the dark spells that's going to be taking place at this event are going to lock people in to their finality, and it will literally take an act of God to get them out. This is the U.S. government bookstore. Okay, you can see that it's .gov. That means that it is a legitimate government store. Now you can see that I did a search for official presidential portrait of Bush, and look what popped up. Notice how there is nobody before President Obama. But we do have Trump, but we don't have Pence. But we do have Kamala and Biden. So something very interesting was that Obama's portrait comes in 2024. Notice Trump's only comes in 8 by 10 and 11 by 14. So I'm going to show you the sizes of these pictures, and I'm going to explain to you what we're looking at here. So we have Joe Biden, who comes in 2024. So that's this year we're talking about. 2024. Notice Mike Pence is not in a photo. There is not one of him on this government site. But you will also see that Kamala also comes in 2024. So Biden is president in 2024 right now. Kamala is going to be in power in 2024 when the coup goes through and Joe Biden is out and she is in. Being dictated to, of course, by Obama. Obama's presidential portrait is also available in 2024. So what we're seeing here is that this is going to be the people who are in charge of America in 2024. Biden right now, Kamala, the whore of Babylon, is coming in, and ultimately Obama will be the one pulling the strings, and he will make his return when he makes his return, but Kamala is going to rule for a while under the thumb of Obama. 2025J here. Make no mistake, Obama has been ruling over all of these presidents, and he also rules over Trump. Don't think just because they pretend to be on opposite sides of the aisle that Obama is not in full control of Trump, because he is, and he was during his last presidency as well. Obama has always been behind the scene pulling strings. 2025J out. Now, you can see 2024 presidential picture of Obama. The price tag is $18. That's $666. Look at the stock number, you guys. 2 plus 1 plus 2 is 5. 7 and 1 is 8. 58. Okay? You cannot make this stuff up. The ISBN number, these numbers all add up to 62, which is 2 sixes. 66. It's also how old Obama is this year. 62. It's also how tall Obama is. 6'2". So all these signs are being laid out before us. We just need to believe the warnings that are being shown forth, because they are serious. And we need to be ready, because like it or not, this is happening. Well, you guys, that is the end of this video. And I just want to say you have been warned. Everything I showed you is spiritual wickedness being exposed. Things that were done in the darkness are being brought into the light. so that you can receive this warning. And so I stress to you, take heed and receive this warning. Read your Bibles. Get to know Jesus. Develop a relationship so that you can be prepared and have the faith that will be required to navigate the world that is to come. Those who are not strong enough in faith will surely perish. So, while you have time and while you have the Word of God, get to know Jesus better and better every day through prayer, reading the Word, and meditating on the Word to gain understanding and wisdom. And through that you will gain strength in the faith, because the faint-hearted will fall. The lukewarm will fall. Those who fail to prepare will fall. This is the year. The hammer is coming down. So prepare yourselves, and may God have mercy on us all. Take care.